Okay, let's get started. Hello everyone, my name is Willie. I'm a member of the Hot Technology team, and today I will be leading the tech work group meeting. We have two guest speakers, Shan and Oğuz, that are from Turkey, and they work in an organization named Yar Silazan. Maybe I didn't pronounce correctly the name of the organization, so they can correct me. And yes, today we'll be talking about the translation of our softwares and some other projects. And we are going to do introduction to the Transifex, that is a tool that is used by a lot of open source projects, including the hot tools and some of the opposite map tools as well. So I'd like to call Shan and ask him to introduce himself.
Hello everybody. Thanks for the Tech Working Group to invite us here. I'm here with Oğuz. We are from Turkey. We are part of Yağcızanlar, a local NGO based in Istanbul. Also in coordination and collaboration with the Humanitarian OpenStreetMap team from time to time. Thanks a lot again for having us here. So as the members of Yağcızanlar, we want to share our experience with coordinating translation teams, coordinating localization to OpenStreetMap tools or other tools to other languages. So we have started when we were collaborating 2 years ago with when we were having a joint project with the Humanitarian OpenStreetMap team. I think it was around during the State of the Map and the Hot Summit in Heidelberg. We discussed providing Turkish translations to the tasking manager for the new version of the tasking manager. So it all started from there, I guess. So with our project team, with the members, also volunteers of Yağcızanlar, we have worked on providing Turkish translations of tasking manager and that was the first time that we were using Transifex there. Our members and volunteers are also contributing to the Turkish translation of Weekly OSM, the weekly blog that is giving news and updates from the OpenStreetMap world in a weekly basis. So we are also coordinating with the volunteer and member team to provide Turkish translations to Weekly OSM as well. And after those efforts, we were awarded with the Hot Facebook Community Microgrants to increase and build the capacity of the volunteer coordination working around localization and translation. So Oğuz led that project, and Oğuz is still coordinating the members and volunteers that are involved in translations. So we carry this on further with the collaboration with another NGO in Turkey called Youth Season. So together with Youth Season, we have coordinated an open source volunteering project, and where the volunteers and the participants were focusing on translating tools like ID Editor, Map Roulette, Vespucci Editor, etc. into Turkish. So the open source volunteering program focused on, again, localizing OpenStreetMap tools or other mapping tools and providing Turkish translations, providing Turkish menus on them. And very recently we have again started collaborating with the Guild. The Guild is a professional translation and localization organization. So we are going to share the workload of translating weekly OSM blogs, Turkish translations in collaboration with them. Guild is also supporting the community working group in providing and reviewing the closed captions of the community working group webinars. So this is our background, and this is our main experience that we've been working and coordinating with Transifecs. So thank you again for having us, and I'm going to leave the microphone to Oğuz so that he will talk more in detail about how to use in Transifecs, what is what in Transifecs, and how can you coordinate the teams, translation teams in Transifecs. And also he will talk about a little bit of lessons learned in those process, how to work with teams, how to motivate teams, etc. So thank you, and Oğuz.
Thank you so much, Can.
Yeah, I'm leaving the stage to you. Thank you.
Thank you. Hello everyone. I'm Oğuz. I'm also a member of Yerçizenler Mapping for Everyone Association since 2017. So today we are going to talk about Transifecs. It's not a workshop. We are just going to talk about the coordination and how to use it. So it's a web-based localization tool. It makes the translation easier when you're translating the project or some subject as a group or as a community. So today I'm going to talk about the usage of it and quick tips, the really important thing, the glossary of Transifecs, and our experiences about the projects that we translated. So this is the main page of Transifecs. You can go just type the transfects.com and log in from here, upper right corner. After you log in the web page, there will be, this page is gonna appear, and you will just write down your name and last name and your role in team. And after you're clicking the next, there is the right page will appear, and you can start your own project, your own tool, and also you can contribute already existing project. And here is the explore page that you can explore any project. For example, if you type task manager, you will see the HOTOSM as an organization, and the projects, one of them is task manager. Once you found your project, just click on its name and click the join team button right side of the header. And in the pop-up, select which language you want to help to translate. Before starting the usage, I just want to talk about a little bit of structure of the Transifecs. There is three types of main thing in Transifecs. The first one is projects that contain all of the text that is related to a specific subject, like tasking manager, or hot export tool, or learn OSM. And the second one is resources. Resources are different categories that make up a project, and the strings are the individual lines of content that need to be translated, like strings make up resources and resources make up projects. Here is the roles in a project. The team manager are responsible for who's on a team and what role each member of a team has. And the coordinators are responsible for overseeing a particular language within a team. They can do same thing as a team manager, but on a language level. And reviewers check translations to make sure they are error-free and meet the quality standards. And lastly, translators. They can submit translations in a specific language, and they also can post in a team, entries in a team discussions. So here is the organization page of Humanitarian OpenStreetMap team. The projects are on the left sidebar, and once you click one of them that you wanted to help localization, there will be 4 things will be appear, and overview, existing languages, resources that we talked about, and announcements. Once you click on resources, it will show the parts of the site or a tool like this one. So we prefer to progress by finishing each source one by one. So these are the resources of ID editor. We started from core, and after community presets, and lastly imagery in the ID editor's localization. So this is the web editor page of Transifex. You will probably spend most of your time here. After you selected a resource to translate, you will see this page, and on the left side, complete list of translatable phrases or strings in the resource. And here is the numbers of the strings that you can translate or untranslated or can be reviewed once. Here is the filters and the search bars. These are the strings, and these are the strings that you can that you translated. And this part is translation part. You can just write down here the text here in the text box, and you can save it here. More info about the string. And there is some more tabs here. These are really important: suggestions, history, and glossary and comments. Suggestions tab shows previously translated strings that resemble the current string. For example, here 100% match. This means that there is one more string that exactly the same. So you can copy from here and paste and save. The history tab lets you see all of the translator who previously translated the string and their previous translations. The comments, you can use the comments box to post your questions, and you can discuss issues with fellow translators. But the important thing here, comments are seen by all translators in the project, so should be written in English so everyone can benefit. And lastly, glossary. Glossary is a set of terms and their definitions along with the correct translations in various languages. It helps to standardize the way terms in your project are translated and increasing the consistency and the quality of translations. And you may add terms that you think are important to the glossary by choosing add term. We will turn back to glossary because it's really important. So on the left of each string, there's a localization status icon for the selected target language. For example, gray dot means an untranslated string. Green dot means translated string, and blue check indicates a reviewed string. In the filters list, there's a set of tabs like all, untranslated, unreviewed. These are helpful when you want to find a specific string or a subset of strings to work on. Like, for example, if you want to just see the untranslated strings, you can just type translated no in the search box. There's a number of filters available in the editor. So you can search for source strings or translation strings containing a specific word or phrase. You can search for strings based on their status, such as translated, untranslated, reviewed, or unreviewed. You can query strings by the username of translator or reviewer. This really helps to track the contribution of each individuals of the team. And you can also filter them by their translation or review date. There are some strings that need to be directly copied from the source. Here is a tag that you can understand that is untranslatable string. To quickly copy these strings, click on the copy icon that appears at the top right side of the translation box. So here are some sorry. Here are some quick tips. First, variables such as %n, %s, and d, they should be copied exactly as they appear in the translation box. They represent a word that will be replaced by real data, like a person's name, a street name, an address, or a number or a link. They can be moved around the string in order to make the most logical translation. And if you see that logo, it means begin a new line. So you can just press enter to begin a new line. There is some strings with HTML tags. They should be translated, and the HTML tags should remain in the same place. There is units of measurements. This cannot be changed from the source language, so please do not convert any units of measurements to any other units of measurements. And lastly, do not press enter or space at the end of the string, because this causes an error message and you won't be able to save the string. So glossary is a set of case sensitive and insensitive key terms and their definitions, like part of speech and translations. It's helpful to provide your translators or your team with a glossary if you're translating in this industry specific terms, like our situation mapping, or you just want a particular word to be translated the same way every time. This really reduces the guesswork and it keeps your translations more consistent. In Transifex, each glossary term is made of several parts, like term. Term is the word or phrase that you're adding to glossary. The translation, how the term should be translated in your language, and not. It's to add about a term or translation, like the definition of a term. So until now, John already explained that we have some experiences by using Transifex to localization of some OpenStreetMap related tools. Our project, the open source volunteering project, aimed to enrich Turkish documentation on OpenStreetMap related tools and documents to support the expansion of the Turkey OpenStreetMap community. And within the scope of the project, we organized weekly coordination meetings, webinars on the use of the tools the contributors translate, and conversations with participants from the international OpenStreetMap community. I think that these various activities play an important role in keeping the motivation of the participants high and ensuring their full integration into the OpenStreetMap community. And the regular coordination meetings are important to track the performance of the team and each individual and answering their questions. You can monitor the contribution of each individual with the help of filter tool that we already talked about. And finally, glossary. It is essential to create as rich a dictionary as possible, because while it helps to making everyone's job easier, you also reach the standard you want more easily and faster. For example, we still trying to find out the true or right translation of challenge in Turkish? Thank you. These are the real tips and my suggestions.
Nice. Thank you very much, Sean and Oz. It was an awesome presentation. Yes, just some comments. Let me share my screen and I can show you some additional details about some resources that we use on Hot on Transifex. Some projects have a resource that is the possibility to use the machine translation inside the Transfects. It's not available for all the languages, and it's not available on all the projects, but some of them have that. So you can use it by like selecting a message, and here you have the machine translation button, and yes, it automatically use some service of translation, and it can help a lot. For sure, you need to review it message by message, so you can assure that the translation is good. And yes, another case of variables that we use the variables that should not be translated between curly brackets, like here the hashtag. So in that case, we don't translate it. Yes, so just two small details that I would like to share. Now we have time for questions. You can ask it on the chat, or also unmute yourself and make your question by voice. Yes, Sean has something to say as well.
Yeah, thank you. Before going on the questions and comments, I just, again, related to coordination, I just wanted to a little bit emphasize the importance of the glossary. So you also mentioned machine translations, and also if you are working with a volunteer group and sometimes some members of the group may not be as competitive or as skilled in the technical terms that may be used in the text. So sometimes there may be problems in that there may be more than one meaning or more than one translation possible to a word. So keeping a good glossary and also providing a good review process would eliminate that translation errors. So we are from time to time seeing that also in Turkish translations, that the translation is correct when you look at it, but when you look at it, the translation in context, you see that the term is not, I mean, there should be another term or there should be another word for that in that technical manner. So at that point, keeping a good glossary would help a lot, in my opinion. In order to provide consistency, and also suggestions, glossary, etc. is very good about consistency, because you also would want to be consistent throughout the translation. So if you just translate a phrase at a certain way, and if you just wanted to keep it that way, also not just words, you can add strings, you can add phrases in the glossary as well, saying that to be consistent, we are going to use this wording for this string, so that overall, you may not realize it when you are looking at the Transifex, when you are looking at strings listed in new, but if you are just going and trying and seeing at the user interface, if you are just using the tool, then you may see the errors and you may see the mistakes that you may make in the translations that you don't see in Transifex. So as an addition, I would also suggest that just use the program, use the tool what you are translating, see the translations in the user interface, and that would also help a lot improving the translations. So thank you. Those were my additions and suggestions for anyone who wants to coordinate using Transifex. And I think Ralph has a question in the chat. How much proofreading is required to clean up the translations? It really depends. So it really depends on the translation team. If they are if they are proficient in the glossary, let me say, if the team is able to provide consistency in the translations, the review process would be much easier. But it really depends on the content that you are translating. So at this moment, we still really need a lot of help in reviewing and proofreading the Turkish translations for ID, etc. So it is not a light work, but it really depends on the project that you're working on. Oz, you want to add? Do you want to add something to Ralph's question or other points?
Yeah, you already said, but it also really depends on the level of your team's OpenStreetMap. For in this example, their knowledge about technical terms in OpenStreetMap, because, for example, in the computer-based translations, it's not translating exactly true sometimes. Thank you.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, please.
Thanks. I'm interested in the, obviously, I'm usually in the community working group, not a tech working group. So mine's a people question, not a tech question. I'm interested in, like, with these kind of coordinated initiatives to do this kind of translation at scale. Can you guys talk a bit to the how to motivate a team, like what kind of, I don't know if there are any incentives that kind of worked, like how to, you know, I guess remove obstacles for a team, like how does the human side work well?
Well, in the human side, the motivation was, I think, the hardest part, the motivation and continuity, I guess. So Oz would answer better in detail, I guess.
So in the beginning of the open source volunteering project, we start just the work of translation, and we understand that team is not translated anymore. So we decided to add more activities like conversations with OpenStreetMap community from international community. Like we talk with Trudy, and also we talk with Geoffrey about their perspectives. We also arranged and led some webinars about the tools that they translated. It makes more clear for them while they're using. But still, the motivation, if their background is not specifically about mapping, their motivation can still stay low. We support this part with Erasmus Plus project. We gave them a chance to go in another country with Erasmus Plus project. It really helps. Thanks for this chance, by the way, for Youth Season Association. Thank you, Peter.
Does someone have a question? You can type in the chat or unmute yourself and ask. Meanwhile, I would like to ask a question about the ID translation, especially related to the presets. Yes, I collaborate a lot on the translation of ID to Brazilian Portuguese, and the presets were always a very difficult part because the way that we translate the name of the presets guide a lot the use of the presets, and sometimes it's a bit tricky, like how to describe some feature. And for example, a case of that was quite problematic was the translation of the tags amenity pub and amenity bar, because what we call a pub in Brazil is what is called a bar by the orchestra community, and vice versa. So, and we had a lot of difficult case to translate of the presets. So if you have some other comments, also sometimes we had some discussion with the community and a lot of consultation to find a better solution to translate. So I'd like to know, how was that process for you?
So I can say we still have many warnings and errors in the tags in ID editor. I guess to complete this, I thought that it would be really supportive if we had a rich wiki page of OpenStreetMap about tags, because just translating the tags and presets without wiki, it's really not feels completed. So maybe the wiki page has to be the solution of the presets. John, do you have any?
Yeah, I mean, your suggestion in the longer term, I think would be very helpful. So if the glossary, if the terms, if the presets, etc., if they be provided by the community through wiki, and maybe ID just use and reads from those presets, would solve something. From time to time when I'm editing, I'm also just realizing mistranslations or improper translations, let's say, in the ID presets as well. So but most of the time, I think I'm just assuming right now, but most of the times users are just seeing there and just saying that, oh, I mean, they translated this wrong, and just move on. But at that point, I have questions like how we can just direct those people in an easy way or in a comfortable way when they spot that type of error, so that they can also contribute, or they can also give feedback to that translation. That will also be another way. So make those feedback mechanisms and make those community contribution and translations also more accessible, can also serve, because I know how to log on Transifex, I know how to change mistranslation, but not everybody is able to do that. Not everybody is or have knowledge on that. So that may also be another block. That may also be another roadblock on that. But yeah. By those suggestions, there may be improvements in the longer term. But in the short term, I mean, I don't know. It maybe needs just focused work to just swipe through, go through every translation in Transifex with a team would be the shortest, with the quickest solution.
Sounds like you need like the map swipe of Transifex.
Why not? Yeah.
Can I ask another question? Is that okay?
Sure.
Do you know how much the Turkish translation has been used? And if you do, is there any way of like the translators knowing that?
Okay, so the translators knowing that the phrase that I have translated have been used in the tool, right?
Essentially, or how much,
Okay, so
how much data has been created through, you know, that language version or anything like that?
well, those statistics are available through Transifex. So how many strings have been translated, how much of the translation have been reviewed, proofread, etc. But I don't know if there's a link with the. I don't know if there's an actual link between the Transifex and the localized tool. So knowing that how much of the strings are exactly from which users are being transferred and used. So I don't know if they have, if those metrics are available. Maybe Willy have another answer for that. But within Transifex, the user statistics, the project statistics, etc., are available independent from the tool that you are translating. Those statistics are available in Transifex.
Nice. So we had a question from Haya on the chat about the price of the use of Transifex. The answer for that question is that Transifex is free for open source projects, so we don't need to pay anything. Samela is having some problem to enter on Transifex. Also, another thing that was mentioned by Uz and that I can show is about on IT. We have, I'm using it here on Spanish. So we have here the name of the preset, and when I click on the icon, I can see here some information that comes from the OSM week. And here we have a description that is also translated. And we can change the translation of that part that is not managed on the ID Transfects, but it's managed on the wiki. So yes, that information comes from here, and yes, you can add here some other translation, like for example, just use the Brazilian Portuguese, and I save it, and the last time I enter on the IG editor, it should be available all that translation. So for each type of feature, we have that information available here. And yes, it comes from the OSM wiki and can be translated directly here. It's very easily. And I believe you can log in on the OSM wiki with the same account that we use to edit the opposite map.
It's great. I wasn't know this, that I can change the description of the. Thank you.
For OSM Wiki, you need to create a separate account, I guess. It's not directly linked with the OSM account, but if it is available, you can just take the same username as your OpenStreetMap account.
Nice, we are learning together. So we have space for more questions. You can type on the chat or mute and ask. Yes, since we don't have any other questions, so thank you very much for attending the technical group meeting. It happens on the second Tuesday of each month. So next month there is a new meeting, and yes, it should be recorded as well and published on YouTube. So later you can review it or send the link to some friend that is interested on that subject. So thank you very much, Uz and Sean, for the presentation, and thank you very much for everyone for attending. See you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for hosting
Thanks,
us
Jen.
for today's meeting.
Cheers, Willie.